click the links to my channel here over at SubScribe. So I was thinking, the internet used to be a lot cooler when it was whiter, but I don't know if I can say that on YouTube or if there's a nicer way of saying that, but that's just kind of the reality. And if you're over a certain age, you know what I'm talking about. I'm trying to think like, I don't think anyone who knows what the old internet was like would disagree with that, but they wouldn't say it publicly. So monetization is destroying Twitter. There used to be an entry point to the internet in the 90s, and probably up until the MySpace days, it was very white and domestic. Then the nons started joining, and now the net is starting to look like the third world. The problem is, like I said, the only people who knew how cool it was are over 40. So this guy's talking about how ad payout system is destroying Twitter, and it definitely is. And for some reason, it's all ramped up in the past like 2 weeks to a month. And let me show you what he's talking about. If I can click this, it's tweets like this, but multiply this by tens of thousands of sort of tweets. And if you click on any one of their names, it's like a fractal regression or something where it just replicates the scene at different scales. Now, I'm not sure if YouTube will allow me to say the country of origin. Maybe I can just say the non-good parts of the world, which is pretty much most of the world that's not the West. Maybe honorable mention to Japan, South Korea. So that those areas are destroying Twitter, and if they find the video, they would mass report the channel until I get kicked off. They're very angry because they live in their countries that they created, and that upsets them for some reason. I always get on Twitter and say, you guys should just improve your countries and go home and make them great again. And that usually gets death threats, but they never get a response of why you need to go to Europe or America or Canada. It's like, if everyone can be a European or an American, it's like, well, couldn't you just create that in your home world, your third world country? It's like you don't actually have to change locations to be an American. You can be an American in Somalia or something, or Ethiopia. You can just create America there. Anyway, so monetization has been enabled for a while now, but something happened in the past 2 weeks that changed the content that people are posting. Everyone is engagement farming for ad revenue, and what this means is there's two models that I see. There's the maybe I'll say South Asian instead of actually saying the word. It might trigger something. There's that bot group that works together. They sub to each other. They engage with each other using Chat GPT and a list of copy and paste phrases, and they try to grab real accounts to get them to get naive people to answer questions and just start getting more engagement, more eyeballs, more impressions equals more ad money for them. And they post the dumbest questions imaginable. The dumbest one I found so far was Coke or water, or blondes or redheads. The simplest questions. They try to grab people. You'll have and English is not their first language, and that is quite apparent because they'll say things that just don't make sense, or they'll have the wrong reaction to things. So you'll have like one guy in India and a couple of computers and as many different browser windows open as the RAM will allow, asking these stupid questions where almost all the responses are probably starts off with him on his other accounts or other people who are part of his scamming network, and they will have these huge posting numbers, like hundreds of thousands of posts a year. And it's inspirational quotes they copy and paste, or rise and grind, SAR, maybe the occasional DM for show Bobs and Vagine. These accounts bring nothing to the table, and they're making money by stealing from the advertisers who are trying to send a commercial out to a real user who matches with their product, not an Indian bot farm who's seen advertisements for like a $400 ski jacket. That's a wasted advertisement because the people who are doing this are not in the market for a $400 snow jacket. And while you don't care about the advertisers, the issue is the harm it does to Twitter, to the business model, and kind of to the environment. It's like it's digital pollution. which Twitter is important. The other scam model is these big accounts will post the video equivalent of clickbait. I put all these clips in the low value category, which you're saying, well, it sounds awfully petty and subjective of you. It might be, but it's not going to stop me from making the video. I don't think it's subjective because some of these accounts used to post hard news informations, and they've recently converted. It might be from the right or the left perspective, but there was a core of an issue and you could look it up and it was timely, probative, and relevant. And now these big channels are seeing that the money from these clickbait short videos are paying so much that they have to post them to compete with these other channels, and it's kind of just feeding on itself. It's turning into this slop. Some of the videos are low information because they're several years old, and they were not high value information even at the time, and they were of a salacious variety, so they got eyeballs. And there used to be a thing they did on Twitter. I think this they finally stopped was like OF OnlyFans type of content, where they would try to trick people into subscribing, and they'd have conversations with big influencers and they'd pay them for it, and it would be like a commercial and describe, and it was so sleazy. But they if somebody goes, hey, here's a couple $1,000s to promote my OnlyFans, it's like they'll find a way to do it. But the one video that caught my attention and made me write this was there's a big channel reposted a video from several years ago where a woman who was obviously going through mental health issues or some stressful personal events was arrested for on the beach act. You probably know the video I'm talking about. She was on the beach and she had to get off some stress, so to think. And the police body cam filmed it, and it went public, which in itself is weird. And the next day, unfortunately, she took her own life. The story might have been newsworthy at the time because some things should have been private, and there should be mental health evaluations that take place. But there should be a process for the body cam footage only to be released to the arrestee, and she probably never should have been arrested, which is its own issue. And there should be some kind of mental health intervention. Thanks ACLU in the 60s in California with Ronald Reagan. People love him. I go, you actually look at the things he was responsible for as governor and president. It's like the most overrated president on earth. But this channel re-released it yesterday, and they didn't put a date on it because then it would be obvious it was 5 years old, and the guy's only posting it because the engagement made him $50. And the thing is, most of these people are in India. They don't care that the woman, the tragedy, and he might not even know about it because it doesn't speak English, but he wouldn't care either way. He just wants the money. But the point is, because of monetization, these channels that used to post topical, probative, and relevant information are now posting clickbait videos, or even worse, old clickbait videos. The problem is, every time the user sees the videos, they're wasting time on some drunk girl getting arrested from a decade ago, and the hard news world events are not making it through the algorithm like they used to. And the thing is, like, every one of these videos takes a couple seconds of your attention. Sometimes it can draw you in, and all that stuff adds up. And it all seemed to have changed very quickly. So that's kind of why I made the video, because it feels like something else is going on. And you spend so much time blocking accounts, and then you realize, oh, you can't block all of India unless you had, as this guy points out, an IP ban at the Twitter level. So your counter argument might be, well, so what if Twitter wants to turn into a TikTok or Tumblr, those 9gag type of bottom of the barrel garbage websites? Because I don't think Twitter wants to become that kind of site for their own business reasons, which I guess don't matter to us. But what matters to us is the open marketplace of ideas is being destroyed by these, I don't know how many times I can say third world people. They go, that's offensive now. I go, no, you know when terms are offensive? It's called the euphemism treadmill. They're sitting at home with a few computers and a dozen phones and just creating the lowest of low-grade, time-wasting distraction content and ripping off the advertisers that we care about to the extent it gets back and hurts Twitter, which is valuable and has potential to be even more useful. Maybe this seems like a weird video to make, but I feel that something else is going on here. And Twitter is so big, and it's the most timely news source. If you're subscribed to news pages, you get updates on things in real times. That's one of the platform's power, and this manipulation is changing that. Twitter used to be everything: news, science, tech, pop culture, and it depended on what you subscribed to. But as a news aggregator, I think it's probably number one. You could go online and follow a few thousand news accounts from mainstream media, alt media, government, foreign governments, NGOs, professors, There's experts in various fields, people who get interviewed, people who do the interviewing, individual politicians, public figures, music, movies, art, whatever you want to, and you got a really well-rounded picture of what was going on in a very timely manner. And every time I got kicked off for being a little too honest and get back on, I found that like 1,000 news sources were perfect to get a full picture. So I'm assuming that before everyone was allowed to be monetized, some of these news aggregators or political pundits probably made their money by funneling you to a Substack or a newsletter or something. Because back in the days, it used to be only left-wing public figures could get the blue check mark. But now those old channels that had to get your attention with astute political insight and analysis are reduced to showing old SJW girls sitting in a car ranting and raving about how blinking supports the patriarchy. The thing is, Twitter, there's... Oh, yeah, there he goes. Twitter matters. Calling it social media is not doing it justice. Things that can go viral on Twitter can be matters of national security, where perception is reality. And when it's combined with panic, especially in current year, where the West isn't just low trust societies, we're approaching zero trust. Or maybe there's such a thing as a negative trust society, where when the government and media are in agreement with something, you know you probably need to go in the opposite direction. If anything, the Wu Flu hologram over the past couple of years should have been the final red pill for a lot of people who needed to awaken and leave the normie matrix and smell the Nina Jankowicz and the Ministry of Truth psyop that was taking place. Oddly enough, she left, of course, because she opened up another foundation. You go, oh, well, who's funding that foundation? That's a good question. You should always follow the money, look at the money, either in and out, look who's funding it. I think it's called the Sunshine Project, funded by Soros. So Soros and Nina Jankowicz are very concerned about being able to control the narrative. Anyway, like, comment, subscribe. Yeah, maybe this is a little bit of a petty video, but I think there's something else going on here, and there's more I want to say on it. Nick says now at the end of the video, it's digital pollution. It's the digital third world, where you're taking what used to be a certain level of trust environment and lowering that level of trust. Obviously, it happens in real life. If you're over 40, you've seen it happen. And this is this is a facet of the lowering trust societies as diversity increases, social cohesion decreases. And there's kind of a game theory model where it only takes one person to destroy social cohesion. And you're seeing this example of it online, where you had something that was working, and then predators come, like parasitical losses come, start attacking things. And it's more than just online. Obviously, Canada and America and Europe are seeing these similar things. But this kind of just shows you how they think. Like Indian call scammers take something like $10 billion a month from America. It's something crazy like that, which seems like the countries would get on that, but apparently they're not too concerned about it. Gab, what they do is they block a lot of these. They block India, Israel, and a bunch of these other Middle Eastern countries just because it's just not worth blocking them individually. You can just blanket block them, and they have to use VPNs to get around it, and then Gab just blocks those as well. Anyway, I think that was careful enough. I made another video for the other platforms, SubStar and whatnot, that kind of goes into this more detail. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys all next episode.